Hi everyone, so I'm back with a different kind of video. I normally do organizing, productivity themed videos, motivation, that sort of stuff, but I actually watch a little bit of reality TV, and in watching it, I find myself sort of analyzing the show through my own lens as a professional organizer and productivity coach. And I thought it would be a good addition to my channel to start reviewing TV shows. And so, you may or may not know, I'm from Atlanta and I like Atlanta based reality TV shows. So, you know, that's The Real Housewives. Um, but today I'm going to be reviewing Married to Medicine, which has just returned. I'm a little bit behind on watching episodes and catching up. I normally like to watch TV like that regardless because I don't want to be waiting for the next episode. Um, so yeah. I am gonna start with episode one, obviously. I actually just saw it like a couple weeks ago and finally got around to doing a review. Um, so basically, excuse me. Basically, the season starts with Quad and Dr. Gregory's affair after the bomb that was dropped at the reunion, where he says that he went to a hotel room with a woman that he met with his other married friend, and the whole fallout from that. Um, I feel like they kind of tried to break the news the way the show introduces Curtis's affair with Dr. Jackie last season, I think it was. Yeah. Um so anyway, I just found the opening of the show to be just so gossipy. Like I get that they were trying to capture all the cast members' reactions to the news, but the tone of it and the way they were kind of discussing it, it didn't to me like it was interesting. And I know that they were trying to, or I guess they were trying to portray the cast members as being very supportive, and how they're all saying, "Oh, I don't believe the girl, really, she just came out with this story. It doesn't seem like they really know each other, and she doesn't have like the details together. It doesn't match what um Dr. Gregory said on his interview," all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, so two things. I found it interesting how they portrayed the cast members as not really believing the girl, when I don't know, like, is it that far fetched? Like, Curtis cheated. It's not like no one in the circle has ever cheated on their spouse. And furthermore, we've all seen Quad and Gregory's marriage and how he's behaved. And a lot of people have had the criticism that they don't believe that Quad really married him for affection and love and all that stuff and commitment. And I have something to say about that. I'll save it for later. But we've all made those observations, and including like the people on the show have, you know, Mariah is who I'm thinking of in particular right now, but even the others have made comments about Quad not necessarily seeming so committed and like a dedicated housewife or whatever. There have been the little comments here and there. So it just seemed kind of like odd that they were reacting in that way, but I guess it's how the show wanted to portray them, as being supportive of Quad and Greg. Whatever. Okay. So uh well, yeah. So I'm looking at my notes, and actually my next note comes at the end of the episode, but it stuck out to me so much. So, do I want to, yeah, I'll talk about it now. Sure, why not? Maybe I'll circle back around to it. But the scene where Quad is looking in the mirror and doing the positive affirmations, to me that was very telling and a very intimate scene, and people come down. I'll be the first to admit I don't hate Quad. I actually like Quad. Um and I've taken it on an episode by episode, season by season basis, and I like her. Um and I feel like she kind of puts on, she has her public face, her presentation face and tone of voice and all that, sure. But most people do to some extent. Um, and she's just trying to, you know, present herself as polished, I think. And, that's fine. That's what most people do. Maybe not in that same way, or maybe I don't know, but like, that doesn't bother me so much in the way that she does it. So, but the positive affirmations, I think, were just a very transparent moment and made her seem really human. And I've always been able to tell, probably from season one, definitely as we got to know her character a little bit more. But I think it's real and it's true, and that's like truly who she is and what she does. She's very methodical and spends a lot of time working on building herself up and is into the mindfulness and just, yeah, like hypes herself up because you have to in this world. And I think she's a woman who had goals, and whether you agree with, I don't know, like, nah, I'll save that, my comments on like whether she married for love or not, for a little bit. But regardless how you feel about her goals and where she is now versus where we thought she was when the show started, um she's had her goals and she's been strategic and she's been very deliberate and intentional. And I think that the scene of her in the mirror doing the affirmations just kind of reinforced that as like who she really is. And I don't know, I kind of appreciated that scene, and it made me really feel for her, because if she's in the mirror having to forcefully tell herself these things about herself, then she's really struggling. And, like, that's sad. I don't wish, I like Quad, but, you don't go around wishing suffering on people unnecessarily, especially people you don't know. But anyway, um, since we're talking about her, yeah, like my whole take is that I think she's kind of, from what I see as an audience member, and I follow her on Instagram too, like I kind of feel like she's handling things the right way. I was a little bit taken aback by the comment about Sister Circle and those being her real friends. I could see how in that she would feel more comfortable around them, because there, as far as we know, isn't the history of like all the conflict that she has with all the women on Married to Medicine. And they're, like they don't say, oh, well, you get special treatment on this show, whatever. So like I kind of see that, right or wrong, I don't know. I believe there's more to that story. I believe that was just like an excerpt that was taken out of like a whole conversation that Toya was reporting back. So like I can't fully comment on it, but yeah, I could see her saying that. Not saying that the people on Married to Medicine aren't her friends, but I mean, I think it's clear as day that she has always felt like a certain kind of way around those women. And so that brings me into like discussing the bulk of the episode. The overarching theme, which is that Quad was never around. And yeah, like I was surprised that they cared that much that she wasn't around. Like they commented last season on her being late all the time. That was a little, I mean, okay, like we all have that late friend, and it gets annoying, but it was just weird that that little detail made it into the show. Um because it's not like they're really meeting. Like this whole thing is set up with production, and yes, they're waiting to film, but like if you've ever worked on a TV show, things tend to get delayed pretty often. So I just found it odd. I don't know that it came up last season and now this season that she's not around, that they invite her but she doesn't come around. I'm just, first of all, I'm a little surprised because like she's a proud person and she's going through this divorce, and you could tell that she wasn't, she was kind of like keeping things private about her marriage and like what was really going on. So like, yeah, that person probably isn't going to come out and want to face everybody and, you know, engage in whatever and just like bare their souls to these people who are critical. They all criticize each other. And that's why it's just so odd. It was odd to me that they're like, well, why doesn't she come around? This is what we do. We all tell our business, blah, blah, blah. When it's like, if you're going through like the embarrassment of a spouse cheating on you, people calling you a gold digger, like all the stuff that's happening in real time, you don't want to come and hear it from these people who are your coworkers slash sort of friends or whatever. Because I do kind of question the friendships some of the friendships on the show. But so I'm like, well, yeah, she's gonna probably not want to hang out necessarily. And she might not. The women on the show probably aren't going to be the first people she, reveals her true feelings to. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I've just never really assumed that they were really that close in real life. So, whereas like her marriage and the cheating and the side chick and the allegations of her being a gold digger, all this stuff is like she's dealing with that in real life. Not just when the cameras are rolling. So it just struck me as odd that like they're like, oh, but she needs to come because we need to show that we care about her. And it went from that to like, she needs to get here right now because she needs her friends and we need to show that we care about her. Just like aggressive and kind of like, maybe aggressive isn't the right word, but like it's a little odd that like they want to be there for her, but they're angry because she won't let them be there. Like they're that angry on that level and expressing it in that way by talking about her. And I don't know. It didn't feel genuine to me. And so I'm like, well, yeah, she's not going to be around. But a whole other angle I didn't think about, and I kind of watched, I never watched Mariah's, YouTubes, or maybe I've watched like one before, but, I was watching one earlier and she mentioned like they're working on a TV show and so people are paid to film. And to me, I think that is a bigger issue. These people, all the other characters are showing up and filming on schedule and Quad wasn't, and I think to them they're like, well, she shouldn't get the same paycheck if she's not going to be here and we're all here and we're all scheduling our lives around filming. um then she's not doing that, so she shouldn't get the payment. I think it was a money issue more than a friendship issue personally. But I don't know. What do I know? I'm not on the show. I don't know any of these people. So the other thing, the comparisons to Jackie and Curtis's marriage, yeah, they kind of pressed Jackie to come out and hang out, but I also kind of feel like they more so gave her space and weren't as hard on her. And yes, they have like the history with like the blow ups and the dramatic, fights with Quad and screaming and whatever, but like, she's going through a hard time. Now's not the time to be critical and whatever. Like, now's the time to make sure, if she's your true friend, now's the time to make sure she's okay. Um, the purse incident with Mariah, I didn't I didn't sense that she, like, given their history and like their very recent history, I didn't get the sense, and the fact that Quad has told her to leave her alone so many times, I didn't get the sense that, I don't know, like, the purse thing didn't seem, maybe she was being sincere and just like trying to give her purse because she thought she was leaving, but um, that also kind of struck me as odd. And then like and then just, I didn't think it was a big deal how Quad told her to just put it over there or whatever. Because she clearly ran off upset. Her tone isn't going to be sweet and calm if you go running after her. It's not like they were still as close as they were and Mariah goes after her. She just like doesn't want to be bothered and is running because she's like breaking down and doesn't want everyone to see her and is like annoyed and flustered. And I really like Contessa because I like Contessa's response in that moment, how Contessa went after her and said, we're not going to do this, and tried to be supportive. Contessa might be my favorite this season. I definitely love her marriage and her husband. That is awesome. Just watching them and his support of her and everything. But yeah, so Mariah runs after Quad. I was a little surprised that like they were able to talk after that, because like when you don't want to be bothered, you don't want to be bothered. And you're not necessarily thinking, oh well, this person just thinks I'm, like that. If you're that upset, it's not crossing your mind, particularly if a person you've been fighting with for like the past however many seasons runs after you. um since we mentioned Contessa, let's move on to that. So Contessa, yeah, there's a lot going on. Um, I like her. I like, I don't know, like, I feel badly for everything that's going on with her father. I like her kind of forgiving spirit, and I like the way he's responded to that by stepping up. Um, I I mentioned that I like how supportive her husband is, but I also like that he can be the voice of reason and firm and, disagree with her when he feels like he needs to for her own good. Like he's really legitimately he seems to be concerned about his family and his wife, and I think that's awesome. And I like the way they interact with each other. Um Glad Contessa's been able to go back to work part-time. That's awesome. And still kind of be there for the kids. What else? The Toya thing, yeah, that was completely unnecessary. I don't know what it is. It's a recurring theme. Like these people on this show are getting upset over stuff that really shouldn't upset them to the extent that it is. Like, yeah, Contessa didn't call you, but the minute you find out that her father is sick or whatever is going on, oh, okay, she had something legit going on. I'll talk to her later. Thanks, Scott, for showing up. Like, that was just completely unnecessary to call her, to put her on a speakerphone. You're having this party that you're supposed to be celebrating Eugene. Like, why are you doing this? Um, Toya's never really been my favorite character, um, for reasons like that. But anyway, yeah, so that's Contessa. Um, oh, so speaking of Toya, I mean, it's interesting to me. I don't know, like whatever, just my opinion. I don't know these people. Me as a viewer, I feel like she seems to be much more into her husband this season than she did when the first show began. Um, and even compared to last season, like I thought she was into him more last season, but this season she seems like genuinely into him, and you know, not hiding the phone when they wake up. Although they haven't shown like a comparable scene to that. She just seems more into him, and that's all I'll say. Um, and I don't. She seems like she's in a better place, I guess, mentally when it comes to her family. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but they seem to be getting along well, and that's great. Not that they didn't get along before, but the energy seems better, I'll say. Um, she was inappropriate for saying that Quad's marriage is taking a back seat. Like, her husband is going to hotels with women. What is she supposed to do? I like at that point yourself needs to take the front seat and you need to do what's good for you. I don't know. Um, cuz I yeah, like he didn't do that because she wasn't doing, being, I don't know. It was a Dr. Gregory issue that he ended up in a hotel with another woman, not a Quad issue. Dr. Gregory could have filed for divorce himself. He could have left the marriage. He didn't have to be, out doing those things. She didn't force him to go into that hotel room, and I don't care if she didn't. So yeah, let's oh, I have a lot more notes, but let let's just briefly segue into this whole Quad wasn't looking after her marriage and she quote unquote won't give him a baby. Like I cringe every time someone says that because a woman does not owe a man a baby. And she stated, like I could sense it before she even said this, but like she stated that she wasn't comfortable in the marriage and didn't think they were in a good place. And why would you bring a child into a situation when you're not in a good place? Like you let's say she does owe her husband a or baby, which she doesn't. Doesn't she then owe more to the child to bring them into a stable situation? Um, I hate that thinking, and I think it's antiquated, and I think that a lot of women end up in very messed up situations by acting like they owe another human being's life to a man, regardless, just because he wants it, doesn't matter what's going on, whatever. No, she didn't owe that man a baby, and I'm glad she didn't have one with him. Honestly, hope she doesn't, and that they, go their separate ways because he strikes me as a narcissist. People act like she somehow took advantage of him when he's a whole entire psychotherapist. Um, like literally studying human behavior is what he does for a living, but his wife somehow got over on him. And people like to throw out Quad married him for his money. Well, he married Quad for her body and her face, and maybe because she's fun, like that part of her personality. It's clear that he wasn't looking too deep if they've ended up here and she's not the wife he wanted, quote unquote, whatever. Like clearly he didn't, either he wasn't being very wise about things, or he was being shallow and only wanted what he saw on the outside. And I'm inclined to believe that he was being shallow and only wanted what he saw on the outside. That's based on where they are now, based on comments he's made, really awkward comments he's made about his wife. So yeah, like you can't fault a woman. Let even whether she did, whether she didn't, she knows, but you can't fault a woman for marrying for money and the guy is marrying for looks. Like yeah, he's not entitled to the whatever, the captain of the usher board at church necessarily. And I wouldn't wish that on the captain of the upper usher board at church, a man who behaves like Gregory and just thinks that her only value is having a child on demand, like whatever. And speaking, another segue. So I listened to the interview that he did and that the other woman did, and he mentions Quad wouldn't go to church with him. I kind of don't buy that. Like I don't know what people do. Maybe he's in church every Sunday. He doesn't strike me as that type. I can't judge people I know, but like I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know. um that just didn't I yeah, that comment doesn't really pass a smell test to me. For some, just this is just me, talking about commenting on what I sense. I don't know these people again. So whatever, grain of salt, take it with a grain of salt. So where did I leave off after that segue? Because it needed to be said. Yeah, like their marriage is kind of none of the friends' business. I know they're on this show where they pretend to be the best of friends and whatnot, but like, do they really seem like they're the best of friends? And there's so much about other people's marriages we don't know. Like we don't know what's going on with Simone and Cecil. We know that they're at this point, but I'm pretty sure that there have been incidents we don't know about. Not necessarily cheating, but just like stuff they're fighting over. Because Simone has a mouth and she turns up. And, yeah, I'm sure we don't know the half of it. Cecil probably gets angry more than we realize. Or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. The point is that we don't know, like, what goes on with them 24/7. Like, yeah. I just feel like other couples haven't been as pressure. We don't know the whole deal with Aiden. We don't know the details of how. We know that now we know that he cheated, but we don't know the details of that. No one's pressing that to come out. So it's all kind of bogus to me. But I do believe they have a point if they are saying she wasn't showing up to filming and they're showing up as expected and getting their paychecks, and she hasn't taken a leave from the show and is getting paid for the time that she agreed to film but didn't. That's something entirely different. But don't phrase that as like a friendship issue and you really care about her. You just want fair pay across the board, or equal pay, whatever. Equitable pay, maybe that's the right word. And we know you're filming a TV show, so just like there are ways of saying that, I think, without pretending that you're really concerned about her as a friend. And that's not to say that none of them are, and that I'm sure they are at least a little concerned, and maybe some people on the show are a lot concerned, but I don't buy that everyone in that circle is just like breaking their neck because they really, let me stop. Okay. So, I thought it was cool that Jackie had the life coach. It was a little interesting that they're at her exam and Jackie's like talking about her kind of like getting some life coaching, but whatever, that's their relationship, I guess. But very cool that the concept was introduced because, as you know, I do some coaching. I'm not a life coach, but I am a productivity coach, and that spills over into thought process and mindfulness and stuff that it kind of overlaps with life coaching, basically. Um, Although I'm much more, I don't know. Anyway, so Damon is really likable. Like I thought he was fine in past seasons. Maybe a little boring, maybe a little Eeyore the donkey-ish in his tone, like just kind of like monotone, monotonous. Um but he's likable. I like Damon. It does seem like they're hiding something though. I kind of got that sense. I forget what sentence he said. It was when I don't know. At one point when he's talking to Dr. Heavenly, it his reaction kind of made me feel like something's being hidden. Don't know what, but again, that's another marriage that we don't know much about behind what Heavenly shows us. So, looking at my notes, uh, yeah, I mean, like when she calls Quad, I could see how Quad could get that message and feel like she wasn't sure that Heavenly was being sincere, given that they're A, on a reality show, B, the way Heavenly's delivery is sometimes, all the time, a lot of times. Um, and speaking of that, are we really still on this life change thing? Maybe she is trying to change, but it's kind of, I feel almost like she kind of treats it like a joke because it's always her calling up someone and kind of like, she's not outright laughing, but like the tone is kind of comical. Oh, I cursed this person out today. I called her this and that. And over and over and over and over and over, and it just happens over and over again. So, that makes it hard to take her journey seriously because I don't necessarily buy that she takes it seriously. Um, Mariah's being extra this season. I literally wrote that in the notes. I wrote Mariah extra. I'm not sure, I'm not sure what scene I was talking. Oh, probably the purse. Um, and yeah, like at the party, the whole I've got the receipts on Damon and her talking about Aiden and his or Heavenly talking about Aiden and his small stuff. Like, I don't know, that was weird, whatever. But I do feel like Mariah's being a little bit extra in other, in other scenes she's done that. I did, however, think that it was nice of Mariah to say that the way Quad was behaving wasn't personal. I thought that was like real true, like a friendship move, even though they haven't been friends. I was surprised. I was really surprised that she would like offer that and kind of take up for Quad in that way. I took it as taking up for her, whether it was just like stated matter of factly or I don't know, but like her saying that it's the way she is and she's not doing it to slight anyone, but just, is protecting her pride or whatever. Whether however she intended it, I thought it was very nice. Because everyone was coming down on her as if she's just this nasty person. Um yeah, it's a lot. Like, I don't know, like some aspect of this divorce is really bothering her as it should, and I kind of think people just need to, until there's further reason to not take her feelings at face value and take what she says at face value, just leave it at that. I'm sure it's not nice to be in the blogs and people questioning your intent and people like the mistress and interviewing the husband and him having stuff to say and putting their business out there, and I don't know, like it can't be pleasant. And I'm sure she didn't see things going this way, whether regardless why she married him or how she married him. Like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure that this wasn't exactly what she wanted either. And he is a jerk to her. Like, again, like it's bizarre that people act like the woman owed him something when we've seen him be an outright jerk. Like, he's disgusting. The way he behaves is disgusting, and there's no excuse for it. For the stuff he says, for the off-color jokes he makes. Um, I'm sure he's no picnic to deal with when the cameras are off. Yeah, and I wouldn't take his calls either. But anyway, so that's it for episode 1. To be honest, it was a little bit boring for me. I have watched more episodes, and so I'm kind of trying not to mix all that up. But and I believe it picked up and became more interesting further into the newer episodes. But yeah, I look forward to reviewing those because I feel like there was a little more to work with. I'm really surprised I got a 30-minute video out of episode 1. But yeah, that's just my take. So I'll see you again for my episode 2 review.